Hi, guys. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the MonsterCast podcast with me, Mason Paul, and Cameron Miguez. How you doing today this time around, Cam?
What is up, Mr. Mason? How we doing tonight?
Not too shabby. Day 2 of self-quarantinization, staying home, keeping everybody safe. Took a stealth quarantine test.
Don't talk about that just yet. We're going to get into that a little bit because somebody else wanted to be involved in that conversation when we get there. So we're going to hold off. We're going to hold off on that one. But yeah, because I was sharing that with somebody else, and he said, "Oh, I want in on this." So we got to make sure we wait till we get him in here before we talk about that.
Okay.
But before we bring him in, I have something I want to talk about, Mason.
Okay. What was yours?
So, well, I didn't have to get tested for nothing. I'm clean. But no, our buddies over at Crush This, Cheech and Brad, they've been helping us and we help them and we kind of share ideas and stuff. And so I just want to kind of take a minute and kind of push them guys a little bit. Tuesday nights they go live. Last night they had Chad Fortune on. And it honestly was a really, really good episode. I mean, Chad Fortune is such a cool guy. And I'm going to suggest to more of my guests that they bring props like Chad did. I mean, Chad had pictures from his stories. And so we really need to emphasize to all my future guests, bring props.
Starting today.
Starting today. Mike should have props. If Mike doesn't have props, then he's failing. Then I'm firing him. But with that said, let me sit here and screw up my camera here. With that said, I say, so we can get to your story, I say we go ahead and bring Mr. Mike Christensen.
All right.
Mr. Mike Christensen.
What's up, guys?
What is going on?
Just hanging out in a hotel room. Actually, getting ready to do a show. Pretty excited.
Yeah. So where are you at and where are you doing a show at this weekend?
This weekend, we are actually in Rapid City, South Dakota, doing a show for the Monster X Tour at Black Hills Speedway. If anybody's watching this in the Rapid City, South Dakota area, go and get your tickets at monsterxtour.com and come check us out. 2 shows on Saturday, 1 Sunday, 5 trucks. it's the first show that all 4 of our trucks are at the same event. So it's going to be kind of cool to put a whooping on the rest of the team.
So who's the 5th truck?
5th truck is one of it's the old red Solo truck. It's now hang loose. One of Torgerson stuff.
So holy crap! You mean the world's starting to spin again, and we're gonna have monster trucks in person places?
A little bit, yeah. We actually got a pretty big facility here. This is actually like a 3/8 dirt mile oval track. It's pretty big, so it's gonna be fun.
Weather looking good and everything for you guys?
A little light rain on Saturday night, but sometimes the mud's a little bit funner to play in. At this point, I don't even care. It could be tornadoes, hurricanes. I'll just drive my truck in any weather at this point.
Well, the good thing for you, shit floats, so you'll be fine.
True.
Well, before we get too far into this, Mike, we've got to talk to Mason about what he got to do this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this.
All right, Mason, now tell your story about what you got to do this week.
Oh, okay. So yesterday I had the pleasure of getting a COVID test drive-through. It was awesome. Got to wait in line in a car for a little over 15 minutes. And it was a 5 to 10 minute just, hey, here's a vial. You're going to shove this up your nose. You're going to cry a bit. You have to rotate it up there for 15 seconds. I was like, okay, this is awesome. And I pick up the Q-tip they had in there, about the size of my pinky. So kind of wide. So imagine like about that deep in. So when I got it in, like, oh, they watch you. They watch you too. They make sure it's all the way up in there. If it's not in, it's like, no, you got to go in deeper. I'm like, I don't want to go any deeper. Part yanking out tears, it's like just barely even in, just about this far. And when they finally see it's past the point of no return, you start spinning it for 15 seconds, and it's like pulling teeth a little bit. It's like, okay, I don't know if you want to cry now or sneeze or what. Had to do it with both nostrils. I gave the vial to them and felt somewhat violated as I drove home, but at least I know now I'm not going to go out in public as much until this is all set and squared away. I'm pretty sure the tests are going to be negative, but you always got to be careful. It's still a virus, and it's still really pandemic going on up there. So
okay, we don't need a public service announcement. I just want to talk about the fact that you shouldn't be that far up your nose. Did you get to spit on it first?
I am not allowed to say that. I had to sign a form.
Brian.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just like the fact of him sitting there in a parking lot. Imagine him just sitting behind the wheel going, I don't want to go any deeper. Sad thing is I got $10. Said he has said that exact same thing in the rig going down the road at some point.
I'm sure he has several times.
Uncle Cam, stop.
That he's in, though.
What's that?
I said it depends on what rig he's in.
Sad thing is, $5 is $5. He don't care what rig he's in.
True. Always got to get ahead somehow. Love you, mate.
Okay. With that,
thanks, Mike.
All right. So before we get started with you, Michael, we started a new thing on our show called the Christopher Allen Fun Fact of the Week.
Cool.
And so he'll come on, he'll share information about our guest. So, Mason, let's play for Mike Christensen.
Hi, Monster Truck fans. I'm Christopher Allen, a.k.a. the Monster Truck Guru, here back again with your Monster Truck Fact of the Week, this time about Michael Christensen. If Michael's last name sounds familiar, it should, as he is the son of legendary Craig Christensen, who has driven the Dragon Slayer, Iron Outlaw, Max D, and Wicked, just to name a scant few. After crewing and driving for his father's team for a few years, Michael briefly toured with Two Extreme Racing before starting his own identity with his own truck. The result was Vendetta, a sleek-looking 1951 Chevy panel wagon which tours alongside Kamikaze under the name Team Throttle Monster. Whenever they appear at shows, they become perennial contenders for the win. Michael loves to perform wheelies, and as such, Vendetta is set up accordingly. With the correct obstacle and the right throttle timing, Michael and Vendetta can be hard to beat in wheelie contests. Michael also loves to race, typical of the competitive nature of his family. These truths were emphasized when Michael and Vendetta were leading the 2020 Toughest Monster Truck Tour Points Series in late February before this first quarantine began. And that's your Monster Truck Fact of the Week, fans. And please check out Monster Trucking with Jim and Chris on Facebook and Instagram for awesome Monster Truck Show coverage from all over the West. Thanks for tuning in. Please come back next week, and remember, Monster Trucks forever!
Well, I think he had cooler facts about your dad than you, honestly.
Did I do what? That I didn't hear you.
I said, I think he had some cooler facts about your dad than you.
Yeah, probably. But my dad has also been doing this for 28, 29 years. So,
well, so I guess let's talk a little Mike Christensen history here. For people that don't know, you crewed for Feld for several years before you came over to Two Extreme and then went on to your own deal. So talk about that. Talk about crewing for Feld and then making that move to go and be a driver and then to your own team. How did that all come about?
Well, I actually started driving before I crewed. I started driving for my dad when I was 15. Very first show was in Inwood, Ontario, Canada, for a company called Edge Motorsports. Did that for 2-3 years until I graduated high school, and kind of wanted to get a college education and went to college for a while. And then I got married and had a couple of kids. And my dad sold our trucks, or his trucks. One went to Donald Eppendendio. That was the first Titan. The other one was sold to Barry Parkins, which was then turned into Western Renegade. Once the trucks were gone, I kind of got bored and did a couple little things here and there on the side for other teams. But I wanted to make the jump and got a deal worked out with a really good guy at Monster Jam. He's no longer with us, but Mike Wells. That dude was probably the best guy that worked at that company. So much respect for him and Peggy. They, that guy did a lot for me at that company. But came in 2009. I was actually a crew chief for my dad in Donkey Kong, and did that for about a year. I had him and Rod Schmidt was my first tour. Rod is pretty rough on stuff, but great guy. It was a good year. And then in 2010, I think that's when. It was 2010. Man, I can't remember. My years are all stacked together. But 2010, I believe, was my first year full time. I did one full year with my dad in Max D. That's when they put in a brand new CRD truck, and we did that for I think about 7-8 months. But I kind of got tired of working. I don't want to say under the shadows, but I wanted to branch out and kind of show people that I'm my own guy. I'm my own without my dad. It's no diss or disrespect to my dad, but I wanted to prove to people that I'm more than just a second gen that's coming up in the sport. And so the very next year, I then actually was teamed up with Lindsey Wink. Me and Wink were together for almost 3 years, and that was my pride and joy. I loved C42. Lucas Oil at the time was phenomenal for me and for Lindsay. It was kind of devastating that I had to step away from Crusader and Wink. He's became a really good friend of mine, but I've also known Wink since he was in Jurassic Attack, and I was 5 years old when my dad started Monster Trucks. So a lot of these people that came through independence and then now into corporate or Monster Jam or Feld, I've known him for a long time. And Wink was probably the funnest 3 years I've ever had in a monster truck team. I mean, he's a great guy, great family. And I mean, Lucas was pretty good to him and to our team. And then I did my final year with Damon Bradshaw at Monster Energy. Cody stepped into a driver's seat, which he rightfully earned. I kind of, the plan was that was going to happen for me. Sometimes plans don't always happen how you think they're going to. So it is what it is. I then wanted something bigger and better, and I was always promised a seat and never got it. And so it was time for me to go. Had some personal family stuff I was going to take care of. Left right after the World Finals in 2014, I believe. That was my last year with Monster Jam. And then I think it was 7-8 months later, Cameron, called me looking for someone to come and help Jim Cretin out. And I don't know if that was the worst phone call I've gotten or the best phone call I've gotten.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But I did a good first year with Jim, with Trent. Me and Trent went and did a winter quarter together. And then kind of had a misunderstanding is how I remember it, but had to go home. Wife was having surgery and came back again. I think that's when Mullet was around. I mean, Mullet's been everywhere, so I honestly can't remember.
Mullet was there when you came back.
Yeah, so me and Mullet kind of toured around for a couple weeks, and then Todd came along, and me and Todd did a first quarter. We probably shouldn't talk about how that one ended, but came back like a month and a half later with Christian, and I mean that's another good dude. Christian's a really good guy. His brother Phil's the Norman brothers. Well, we call him Douche and Duffel. That's a nickname that Larry Swim told us about. So now it's stuck. My kids call them Douche and Duffel, so it works out perfect. But I mean, they're awesome kids. They're awesome guys. And then I did my final year with Austin, 2018.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yep. So 2018 was my last year in Iron Outlaw with Austin. That's another great kid. I mean, that kid has a lot of potential. He's going to be a really damn good driver if he keeps his head in it. But I think that's all him. That's all on him. He's the guy that has to do that.
If he could just get out of bed in the morning.
True. I mean, he's the only guy that I know that can sleep in until 11, 12 o'clock, and 5 trains could pass him, and he wouldn't even know.
And get up, eat lunch, and go back to bed for another 6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I could get him out of bed during first quarter is I would literally beat the living crap out of him with my pillows and told me he had 10 minutes to get up and we're leaving or he's walking.
And he would use every bit of that 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. It'd be 9 minutes and 58 seconds, and I would finally see him trying to throw himself into the semi.
I love that douche nozzle.
I know it.
All right, so you get through 2018, and I remember the conversation well of, hey, I think I'm leaving the team. Me and my brother are starting up our own team. So,
yep.
How did that come about?
At that time, my dad had Wicked, and then he was in the process of building Dragon Slayer, and then Paul and my dad at first partnered up and created the Kamikaze, which is actually my truck now that I drive. And Paul wanted to kind of be more involved on the business side of it. My dad wanted, I guess, less stress on the business side of it. Basically, they came together. They built Kamikaze. My dad had Dragon Slayer and Wicked. Paul is very busy with his construction company. I mean, he has a full-time job doing that. He is always on the go. And so a lot of it was kind of, put on Craig to make sure the truck was ready and fixed and repaired. And, don't get me wrong, Paul was, there as much as he could be. But I think things were just getting too, I don't want to say too complicated, but it was easier for them to go their separate ways and for us to do something on our own. Me and Paul talked 2 months before that, coming up with an idea or something that we could do together to, to better him, to better, myself. And, my dad already had his 2 trucks in place. The only place we could go was just growing together. And Paul had, he was in a situation where he could do it, and I was in a situation where I wanted to move back home, and I had the know-how and could basically run and make this work. And here we are 2 years later, up to 3 trucks that are owned by Paul and one that is owned by our cousin Zach. That is Team Throttle Monsters now.
Well, so let's talk about the name Vendetta. I mean, is there a story behind that? You just thought it was a cool name, or you had a point to prove?
Well, I mean, throughout my career, through, being a young kid, 15, 16, it always felt like there was obstacles that were in my way and things that would come up at last minute that I had to either achieve or to get through in order for me to continue driving. Same thing happened basically at Monster Jam. Like I was promised and promised over and over that, you guys are second gen drivers. Second gen drivers were, a big thing coming up. That's when Ryan started, and Adam was already in the game. But you had Ryan, you had Rick Disharoon, or Ryan Rick Disharoon, I mean. But there are several second gens coming into play, and me and my other brother were also told that this was something that they wanted to kind of pursue, and it was always one broken promise after another, and it really got to me. Like it didn't matter how hard we fought, how hard we worked, that it seemed like the end result was never going to be achieved. And so Vendetta, to me, is basically me proving everybody wrong that either lied to me or betrayed me. And this is my way of working from the ground up to prove that I'm capable of doing it without them.
That's beautiful, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's just got emotional.
Yeah.
My wife's got a vendetta because I've been lying to her for years, telling her I'd make her happy eventually. And 24 years.
I've kind of been a very vocal and an outspoken person. Sometimes it's helped me. Sometimes it's kind of bit me in the ass. But, that's just how I am. I mean, I'm kind of a straight shooter, and I'll tell you exactly what I think and how I feel. And some people like it, some people don't.
That's why me and you get along so well.
Well, exactly.
Well, so I mean, you guys, essentially you're a 4-truck team. What made you? I mean, was it Mac decide he wanted to build a 3rd truck that you need to build a 4th one to go along with it, or how did you come about going from a 2-truck to a 4th? You make a big jump.
Yeah, I mean, when we built Paul's truck, because Paul's Kamikaze is only 2 years old now. It debuted in July of 2018. Grass Valley was its first show. Did that. I mean, it's almost July now, so it's almost 2 years old. And we've done just really well with these 2 trucks. They're really good pieces. They're both built in-house. It's just everything is always just worked out. And we've had some I've had some weird breakage that I've never seen before. And I don't know if I'm just that good or if I just am sucking at what I'm doing. I don't know.
You mean like snapping a jack shaft?
Yeah. I broke that. I broke all the bolts in the lower shock tower, and the whole shock mount came off the Champagne and just was sitting on the knuckle, but nothing else broke other than the 3 bolts. Like, I've never seen that happen.
No.
And, I mean, it's just our cousin Zach kind of got into it. Like, he's drove for my dad in the past. He went to Australia a couple times and drove over there for them. But he just kind of liked the idea of, hey, he's also a partner with Paul and his construction company. That hey, this is kind of a cool thing that you got going on here. We need to work it out. So maybe I can build my own truck. So I think initially Zach was the one that was more interested in building a truck for himself. And then it just made more sense for us to put a truck with it, where either Zach builds two or we just build a third one that we can run around with it, and we can just kind of control and book and basically make it part of our own team, but it's still Zach's truck.
So, and that's when you decide to make a small addition to the team.
That's right. Yeah.
It's still a little something for me.
Yeah, well, a little bit, yes. He has a different story, but I did kind of I don't want to say took. He was a free agent, just shoveling horse crap up in Oregon. I offered him a deal. He took it. He's now here.
Yeah, where's he at? Let me peck right in.
He is actually in his hotel room. He is not in here yet.
Oh, all right. Well, when he comes in, first thing before we start anything else conversation, I'm going to punch him in the face for me.
I can do that. I might miss because he's below me, but I'll try to get it.
Yeah, well, drop to your knees and punch him right in the mouth.
Tell him I said, hey.
What's that?
Tell him I said, hey.
Yeah,
After you punch him.
Yeah.
When he wakes up, I will.
Oh, hey, by the way, come over here and get on camera.
That's right.
Well, we have as part of the show where we always go to the fans and see what they have to say to Mike Christensen. So, Mason, what do we got there so far? Kemosabe?
I think we got a really good one from Nick Miguez. His is, hey, Mike, can you point me in the direction of a toolbox?
I can point you in the direction, but I think your dad needs to yell at you of what direction the toolbox is in.
Have we ever actually told? Is this story ever actually been told on here?
No, it hasn't.
All right, Mike, you want to tell it or you want me to?
I can tell it.
Go ahead, you tell it then.
It was, I think, the year that we decided to jump ship everywhere, and me, you, and Nick were at the shop, and we were changing the housing. I think in Austin's truck.
Yeah,
I can't even remember. But anyways, the whole housing's out. I think there's champagnes on it, and we're trying to drag it into place to line it up, underneath the chassis, put 4-bar bolts and everything on, and I'll basically just assemble it. And Nick is on one side, you're on the other, but he's so confused on what you're trying to say. And you're telling him, take your champagne and slide it to the left. And he's just standing there, not knowing what to do. And you're like, slide it to the left. Because I'll just take your champagne and go towards the toolbox. And he still wasn't comprehending, or just I don't know if he just didn't understand what you were saying. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say what you actually said.
I try not to. You can paraphrase.
Your voice got really loud, and you literally told Nick to take his beeping champagne and take it towards the beeping toolbox, which is that direction. and he was kind of startled, oh my hell, my dad's being a jackass right now. So we grab it and we just slide it towards it. And then, you're in a bad mood. Nick's in a bad mood. I'm trying my hardest not to laugh at both of you, because it's just funny when dads yell at kids. Because, growing up, we always got yelled at. That's just how it was.
Yeah, I thought that was parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the very next thing that, Nick was looking for or asking for, he asked for something, and I'm like, well, it's probably at the toolbox. I would look there. And then it just became a joke.
And that was December of 2016, and it's still stuck.
Yeah, it's good times.
Oh yeah. When I told him you were going to be on, that was one of the first. Oh, I'm asking about the toolbox, please.
I'm gonna make him a sticker. Actually, I'm gonna have my wife make him a sticker. That's just gonna be on the back window of his truck. I'm headed to
the toolbox.
That's right.
All right, now this one, I'm not sure if I should say it just yet. It is from someone we all know, but 3 people are also behind and sent me a message directly to make sure I ask this one. So this is from Dawn Cretan, and she said, so with all the years of you doing monster trucks and having such a hectic schedule, have you ever just forgot the rig anywhere?
Well, I guess we're going there. So, well, I've never forgotten a rig. I've left a rig. And me and another fellow monster truck driver, team owner, kind of didn't see eye to eye. I kind of took a comment that he said to me a little personal. It pissed me off and decided to leave everything in California. Cameron was there to witness it. Thank you, Don.
Yeah. So, next question.
Yep.
But, you know, funny thing later is 2 months later, I was right back to work, working for him again, traveling around the country. When me and Austin did first quarter, we actually went right back to Anaheim. And before I left, he specifically told me, if you enter the state of California, you have to exit the state of California with my semi. So I have, or I did, 3 times.
Funny thing, that same show was kind of my gateway back in too, because somebody had to load the ship.
Hey, at least I left you the key.
Yeah, appreciate that.
You're
Nothing
welcome.
like a bunch of people walking up there going, "Hey, you're the only one here that knows how to load this trailer. Even though you're not working for this team, can you help us out?" Sure.
You know, well, I mean, Jim's a great guy. I've literally learned a lot from him. But Jim, I feel like me and Jim kind of are a lot alike. But what a lot of people don't know is I've known Jim since before he was in monster trucks. Well, probably like right in the beginning. I mean, I've known him my entire life. Jim used to be my babysitter before he became like this big time bounty hunter guy. We used to call Jim Bomber Ramadan. That's how cool Jim was to us when we were young. And he just likes things a certain way. He likes things done his way. He will teach you to do it his way, but if you don't understand his way within like the first month, you're just an idiot and you need to quit.
First month? No, you're being optimistic.
Well,
I usually give him flowers.
But yeah. You know, he's I don't want to say he's hard to work for. You just gotta do it Jim's way. And it might not be the way that you think is right, or it might not be the way that you were taught. But that's just how he wants it done, so you do it that way. The whole California do what?
I was just going to say, there's a reason he is where he is, and he's just very particular. And once he's like anybody, I mean, he's, you know, a lot of us are hard. I'm hard to work with. It's a matter of once you get to know that person, you get to know that personality and how it is. It's a breeze.
Absolutely.
Some days.
Yeah, you know, and I don't want to say he's a hard guy to work for because he's really not. You just got to understand how he wants it done. And then you do it his way. It's cakewalk.
Yeah. Yeah. The summary of Jim Cretan. Yeah. Well, you better figure it out or your life's going to be miserable.
Yeah, but
all right.
I can't say enough good things about Jim. I mean, he's helped me personally. He's helped me out my family. I mean, and you know, I got to drive his truck and take his semi up and down the road and beat the crap out of it. Well, not the semi, the race trucks.
Well, that was too tall.
Well, that poor white Volvo. I mean, it was ready to die 3 years ago, but we made that thing last 3 full years.
Yeah.
But you know, I can't thank him enough. I can't thank Don enough. I mean, they gave me an opportunity that not a lot of people would take with me. So
that's beautiful. There's a lot of touching moments on this podcast so far. Jeez. Nice. What else you got, Mason?
We have
I got
one.
$100 and I'm going to make you cry, Cameron.
What's that?
Said someone bet me $100 that I can make you cry.
Well, so far you've done it twice. You get paid double.
I'll split it with you.
To the back itself here, we have one from Robbie Milburn, and his question is, what to this point has been the highlight of your career?
Highlight of my career. Well, the first time, I'd say my biggest highlight so far is I was in Iron Outlaw, and I actually got to land my very first backflip in Anaheim Stadium. I mean, a lot of people probably don't think that's a big highlight, but I didn't own the truck, and not a lot of people can take someone else's stuff and equipment and go and drive it like that. But took third in Monster Jam at that event. Went on and did 7 more backflips. I've only crashed once, so it's not too bad. I mean, it's pretty good. Thanks, Jim, for letting me flip your truck. Another cool highlight that I had is we went to Montreal 2018, maybe 2017. I think it was 2018. And me and Austin showed up like 3 hours before the show, hurried and unloaded, swapped bodies, tired up. And then when I got there, Jim told me that I had to do a backflip for the show, and ended up winning racing, and then did the backflip. And then I think I took third or second in freestyle, and we left that night. I was only in Canada maybe a whole whopping 9 hours. I mean, it was kind of cool to go to Montreal. Never been there before. And, Jim was there, and Jim Kohler was there. I mean, there was a lot of big guys there that you had to go through.
Just showed up, kicked ass, and left, huh?
That's right.
That was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend.
What else do you got, Mason?
We have one from Christopher Allen. His question is, do you prefer to perform in indoor arenas or outdoor speedways?
I've never been a fan. Well, I don't want to say I've never been a fan. I would rather do indoor or outdoor speedways in the past. Now, saying that, the only reason why to me it's any different is doing toughest monster truck shows in arenas. There, to me, have like completely changed my look on indoor arena shows. The type of event and caliber show that they do in such a small space blows my mind that we can accomplish what we do in those places. To me, it's made it fun again. I mean, arena shows, are kind of, I don't want to say dragging on, and they beat you to death a little bit. And that was the one thing that a lot of other drivers told me about toughest is, the truck's going to beat you up a lot. Where I've only taken 1 or 2 bad hits, but their stuff is straight up and down. And it just made it fun. It made it more of a driver's track that you have to conquer in order to show that you are the toughest truck. Outdoor speedways are also still fun as well, because you can let that truck hang wide open and go all out and wild and crazy. And I always enjoy doing my nice little slap wheelies, but I kind of got that figured out a little bit in arenas. Just pop it right up on the tailgate and just park it there.
Going on to a few more questions I'm seeing here. These two seem almost like a two-parter. One from William Carroll Arnold asking, what made you choose the 1949 Chevy body, and does the year hold a special significance?
Well, it's a 51. It doesn't really have a significant following, at least to me. But it was something that my dad had laying around. And an old school body is always what I imagined my truck to be ever since I was in kindergarten. No, I wouldn't say kindergarten, but in elementary. Like when I was a kid, I would always draw a truck, and to me, I'd always draw a truck that was an old school pickup. I didn't want a panel wagon. I didn't want anything with a flatbed or anything like that. I just wanted a regular old school truck. I was a huge fan of when they brought out the 51 wheelies of Captain's Curse and Blacksmith. Like, to me, that look just looked awesome. But I wanted to have something that was different than anything else. So my dad had this body that he just had laying around. We had to kind of customize it to fit the truck. And after about probably two weeks of tinkering with it, we got it to work. And the rest is history. I had to kind of widen it a little bit. It's chopped, but I think the chopped old pickups kind of look meaner and look more aggressive. So kind of fit the name.
Yeah, I always thought the Captain's Curse is one of my favorite, and Ronnie Sturgis's Nasty Boy.
Yeah.
They just look sharp as a monster truck.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, they look sleek and they just look mean.
Yep, they're very aggressive.
Yep.
All right, and to segue along with that question, we have one from Michael Arndt saying, "When do I get a Vendetta T-shirt and drive?"
Who was that?
Michael Arnott.
Oh,
He, I got to give that guy a huge shout out, man. That guy has done every single design that I've ever asked him to do. He's never complained, never moaned or groaned. Okay, well, he does a little bit, but we just yell at each other back and forth, and then about 2 days later, I'll get what I asked for. But the guy does phenomenal work. Anybody that ever needs any custom artwork done for a truck, mud truck, your car, it don't matter. This guy is a talented machine. He helped me design Vendetta. He's helped me design a couple of the other trucks that we're putting together. He's an awesome guy. So I'll make sure you get a shirt. Don't you worry. Now the driving part, well, get in line, buddy.
You can drive everywhere you want with the shirt on.
Yes, absolutely.
Going on to another question from someone we know. We have one from Elliot Miller saying, "Mike, how do you maintain your fit figure on the road?"
Well, I have a picture of Elliot that sits on my windshield of my rig. And I just keep telling myself that I can never let myself go to look like him. And actually, at dinner tonight, Too Tall was, picking at me on everything I was eating. So I think now I have a babysitter that's going to slap my hand on what I can and cannot eat. I've lost weight before in the past. I'm going to do it again.
Well, all you got to do is hold your sandwich up above your shoulder, and Dave can't hit it no more.
Yeah, but we were sitting down in a booth, and he already had his booster chair. It got ugly. He threw his water at me. We were only there for 11 minutes. It was hectic.
He put his crayons down and started throwing a fit.
Yeah, the waiter didn't bring him his bib. We asked him if he could bring a sippy cup with a crazy straw for him to have his water so he won't spill it no more.
It was chalky milk in. Sawed off little bastard.
I don't know where he's at. Apparently he's not coming.
You two keep talking. I'll handle this.
All right, I figured you would.
Well, while he goes ahead and tries to call up Too Tall here, we have one. We have a really good one from someone we also know, Wendy Christensen, saying, "Do you like your wife to come up to shows and cheer you on? Would you rather leave her butt at home?"
Absolutely not. I would much rather my wife be at my shows. She's actually the one that's kind of created the identity, the look. She's my number one supporter. I can thank her enough to let me, to chase my dream and to do what I've been doing. We've been now together for going on 7 years. And, so she's been through the rough, stressful times with, things that have kind of put a damper on monster trucks. And she's been through a lot of the good times. We're kind of making this dream come true with the whole Vendetta thing and the look and the name and, with the position that we're in right now. And now we got 4 trucks that, I would much rather have her at the show, support me, cheer me on, and I can't thank her enough.
She's a sweetie.
See, and everybody just says I'm an asshole when I'm really not. I have a soft spot once in a while.
Yeah. So next question.
Okay, next question. Paul Jensen. What do you set the timing on at your brother's truck?
Oh my Lord. Jeez. Well, on camera, I set his timing at 30 degrees. One time, we checked his timing because it was acting weird and being retarded. And we checked it, and it was at like 17 degrees. And he's like, bro, what the heck, man? Like, why is my timing at 17 degrees? I have no idea. But your rotor literally broke off and blew out the cap of the distributor. That might be why the timing moved.
But it jumped there.
Hold on. I got a knock at my door.
We have a special guest.
Can't wait.
I'm surprised he answered the phone.
There he is.
Yeah.
Look who's graced us with a small presence.
That's right. Yeah. I'm on a step stool right now just so I can see you.
Yeah. Mike, punch him in the face for me.
That wasn't our code word, but it worked. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Code word with decking. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Cam.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Well, welcome to the Monster Cast podcast.
Thanks for having me on here.
You little peckerhead.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let me ask you, Dave, real quick before we get back into the questions here. So what made you decide to make the jump over to Throttle Monsters when you know there's a job waiting for you, somebody else you're telling you're going back to work for, and everything's going to be fine, and then just nothing?
I told you. I told you.
I don't know. I decided to take a break from monster trucks for a little bit. It's been all I've ever done for the last 10 years almost, and needed a little break. Decided to go home for a little bit, and Mike here kept calling me probably once or twice a day for
I needed a guy.
At least a month. Told him no. I enjoyed being at home, sleeping on my own bed, sitting on my couch. And he finally told me, he's like, all right, look, we got 2 trucks to build in like 4 days. So I need somebody.
Yeah.
So can you come to Utah? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I went down there for about 2 to 3 weeks, helping him build trucks. And then he's like, oh, yeah, and you get to drive one of them. Okay, sweet. So I took him to the first show, broke it in, and, on my way back from the show, he's like, so how would you feel about making this full time? And I guess I was convinced after the first show and said, yeah, sure.
Gee, maybe you could have followed up with the same thing I told Mike. Sorry, I'm obligated to another team.
Well, there was nothing in writing, so it's fair game.
No, you know what? You are, and I've told you this 100 times, Dave. You're a hell of a driver, and he's lucky to have you. And I do honestly wish you the best. If it all goes well there.
Yep. Miss having him on the road. Last year was real fun coming back. Cool seeing him do a little sidewall. It was good times. Good times.
Mason, you need a job?
Yeah, Mason's an ass kisser.
No. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. As long as we don't go to Canada, I think we're in the clear, really, for 2 reasons. Speaking of 2 reasons, there's actually a question with you two right here from Don Cretan again saying, have you two ever hit an animal with the rig?
No, I have not.
It must be my question here.
Dave?
So probably I think it was the first time I was working for Jim back in, I think it was 2014.
15. That's when the blue rig was new.
Okay, yeah. And I was traveling up and down the road with Jim. I'd maybe been working for him for about a month. And he had this rig for probably about 3 months, brand new, right off the showroom floor. And he'd been driving all day. I think we were only going to 1 or 2 states over. And we only had to go about 2 or 3 more hours. It's about 10 o'clock at night. And he asked me, he's like, hey, just drive for the 2 or 3 we got left, and we'll park at the fairgrounds and we'll be there. So I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I hadn't been driving for 10 minutes, and we were in Eastern Oregon, about to cross into Idaho. And there was nobody else on the road. It was a 2-lane highway, and I'm cruising along at 55 miles an hour, and a full-size bull male elk decided to run out in front of me. So I did the only thing I could do. I just changed lanes into the fast lane, but the elk seen my headlights and decided to run towards them. And I clobbered that elk with all 9 tires on the right side of the semi and trailer. And Jim actually had been asleep for, like I said, that about 10 minutes, and he came flying out of the bunk, grabbed the steering wheel because he thought we were going in the ditch. Like he thought I fell asleep. And was just so flabbergasted that I had hit an elk. Couldn't understand how it happened, but funny story, Todd Morey was actually in the passenger seat.
Man, this gets better and better.
Yeah. Todd was actually in the passenger seat and was just as flabbergasted as I was, like, holy crap, we just hit an elk. So, yes, Don, I'm glad you asked that question.
I was
watching.
Dawn is my monster truck reporter. She comes up with the best. She has all the inside information. She forgets how do you like doing this? How do you like jumping with big tires? Oh, no. She has them hard-hitting questions, really behind-the-scenes shit that's going to kick you right in the balls.
I think her grandson is calling her. She can now get off the internet.
Speaking of some other hard-hitting questions, we have one from Nick Miguez again saying, while we're talking about semis, do you guys have any advice on how to hook up a trailer?
Well, that wasn't me, so that was Mullet. Nice one.
Oh, go ahead, tell the story.
Yeah, Mullet didn't hook the trailer up in Redding and went to back it up. It obviously moved, but the kingpin wasn't latched. Pulled forward, and the trailer dropped all the way to the landing gear, which then the back of the frame of the semi wiped out the generator box and screwed up the doors and everything. And I'm pretty sure at that time, Nick, your boss called our boss and sent him pictures. Oh, yeah. It was a great 45-minute ass chewing that we got when I had no involvement on it.
Oh, shit. That's just good times right there.
Yeah, great.
God, Mason. What else can we kick these guys in the balls with?
I'm seeing a lot of like people that everybody seems to know from here. We have one from Trinity Johnson saying, who's your favorite person to go on the road with?
Well, since basically all you've done is sleep every time you've gone on the road with me. I don't know. I actually like traveling with your mom. I'd much rather have my wife there. But, you know, it's always fun to have my kids. I got, you know, my 4 girls. It's always a blast to have them on the road with me. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we're in a place that, you know, we do a lot of shows close to home. And so all of my kids can, you know, hop in the rig and just drive the 5-6 hours to the show, enjoy the weekend, and come back.
I know that's how I always felt when I did a show with Dave, like I had my kids with me. Put him in a little jumper and carry him around a little, what do they call them things, to pooch or whatever. I put him in that and carry him around. A little
like your baby kangaroo.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the little backpack things, you put on the front. I'd put him in that, and that way his little legs didn't get tired.
An infant carrier.
Yeah, we just go look at things, see things.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
We pre-race trucks as a team.
Wow, you guys are really too close. Maybe you do need to go back.
I do everything above the 4-link bars, and you do everything down there. We're good.
Oh man. Wow.
Oh my god.
You all right, Mason?
Yeah, I'm just getting my breath back because I'm trying to look for a few more questions here.
Did you just think of your corona test again?
Yeah, I coughed a little bit. I don't know. That was not a good sign.
Dave's got the same side as the swab he had to use.
Yeah, that's
No comment. I've already said this story once. We got a lot of people still commenting in, like one from Lane Larkin right here saying, if you had the chance to drive another driver's truck at a show, whose would you want to drive and why? As I take my question off from the Q-tip.
Well, when I worked at Monster Jam, I actually had the opportunity to drive a couple different trucks. I drove Batman I covered for Norm Miller. There's someone else, maybe it was Norm both times. I filled in for Damon Bradshaw in Reno, 2014. That truck at that time, dude, that thing was freaking awesome. It handled good, it landed good, it ran good. Like, that thing was just a vicious machine. Never got a chance to fill in for Lindsay. He was kind of selfish when it came to Crusader. I really wish I could have, because I turned every single nut and bolt on that truck. That thing was my life for 3 years, and I always wish I could get an opportunity to drive it. But if there's any truck out there that I would want to try to drive, I think it would probably be, I don't know. Bigfoot seems like they have a lot of cool things that they have on their stuff. I know a lot of people have, always thought that it'd be pretty neat to drive one of them. But I think it would have to be a Bigfoot truck, just because it's completely different than what I'm used to.
What about you, Dave? You've been around a lot of trucks, crewing for Feld and stuff like that. Which one you would want to drive if you ever had the opportunity?
I think if we're gonna go, like, say, the Monster Jam route.
No, it doesn't have to be Monster Jam.
Well, just different scenarios. Like, if I'm gonna go with a Feld truck, any of the Anderson trucks, low motor, wide housing trucks, always seem to handle pretty good. Going to like the independent side, or you could say Bigfoot. I always enjoyed watching the Bigfoot trucks back in the Penda days in the 90s. Those trucks would haul, and I always felt like it would be really fun to drive one of those trucks on a Penda style track.
I'd like to add to mine too, like Donald Dependendio. I don't know what it is about his truck, but that thing is just a vicious machine too. There's a lot of Dan Patrick stuff on it, and it just whatever package that Donald has, that thing looks like it just runs on rails, dude. I think that'd be a fun truck to drive as well.
I always wanted to drive No Problem back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that truck back in the day. Anyone remembers that one?
Yeah.
What's that?
Put your groceries in the shell.
Dude, I love that truck. I don't know why. I always loved the old Bronco. It was just different. Back then, nobody else was running SUVs, really,
Right.
And coming out of the Bronco, and in the beginning in the Leafer days, dude, he was hard to beat.
Right.
Not that anybody asked about mine, but I just went ahead and throw mine in there.
Well, we're all one family, so
yeah.
I guess whatever questions come up, each of us can just answer it.
Yeah.
Mason, nobody cares. And Mason, nobody cares about your answer. Just ask the next question.
I care, Mason.
I'd just like to do more than just moving, like, once. That'd be great. Anyway, so as we kind of come on to our hour mark here, don't want to keep you guys too long, and sorry I wasn't able to answer the extra questions off the side. Really love the idea of William's idea of the new MonsterCast segment with Don Cretan inside monster trucks, because he always seems to be hitting really great questions here. But one of our favorite questions we always make sure to ask to each of our guests is, what is your favorite on-the-road story? In this case, it's for both of you guys, so I'd like to see what you guys have for your favorite road story.
Oh, you can go first.
Well, I don't know which one to talk about because I've had several. How about I'll let you guys decide, you and Cam, about me having to use a canister for a porta potty or me almost dying with Trent Montgomery.
I like that one.
Yeah, I'm going with that one.
Okay. Well, this was like hell week. We're in Rochester, New York, and it's freezing cold. The white Volvo was running like a turd for some reason. It was so cold that we had to leave it running for like 3 days. And the last day, it gelled over. Like, it was a miserable time, but it was, for some reason, it was just hilarious and funny that we were there. And we get the rig actually running, but the rig will only run for about 7 minutes, and then it will just shut off. And then you'd have to pull over, wait 10 minutes for like the secondary pump to like fill the filter full of fuel, and then it would start, and then it would only run for another 7 minutes. So the Volvo dealer is like 30 minutes away. It took us about 5 hours to get there. We're all dead tired. It's cold. It's miserable. We take a turn, and the rig dies like halfway in the intersection, and we barely have enough momentum to get us through the intersection, but then it puts us right on a bridge. So then all of us are just so wore out and delirious. We're thinking about, we're contemplating jumping out of the rig, off the bridge, and just dying to our death, because that would be a lot funner than what we're dealing with right now. And so we finally get to Volvo. It's like 3:00 in the morning. All of us are tired. We park wherever we could find a place to put the semi. About 6:00, someone is pounding on the door, and Trent finally goes and answers it. It's the guys from Volvo. We parked on the wrong side of the building, and they then told us that we need to move. This is where it kind of gets funny, because Trent just takes it upon himself, starts the rig, backs up, doesn't look, doesn't walk around, does nothing. And the guy that knocked on the door parked his pickup like 15 feet behind the trailer. And Trent drove the trailer straight through his fender. And he waits like 3 hours to call Jim to let him know about it. And he waits like an hour to even tell the parts guy that, hey, dude, we just swiped your fender. You probably want to go outside and figure it out. Trent finally wakes up, or like tells us, what happened, and he's contemplating on how he's going to break the news to Jim. I was just so ecstatic that I'm not the dumbass that did it. So I'm just waiting to hear how he calls Jim and how he's going to explain it. And the funny part is, like, we're sitting in the waiting room at this Volvo, and he tells Jim what's going on, and he literally like puts his phone down on the table and it's not even on speaker, and he just sits back up, and you can hear Jim talking to him. So it was a fun, memorable moment at Camp Creek.
You, Dave.
Well, I mean, you don't get any better than hitting an elk in Jim's brand new Volvo.
You didn't have a shirt for it.
Yeah, you made me a shirt.
I made him a shirt.
Yeah.
It says "Too Tall" on the front, and on the back it says "Kill an elk, one Volvo at a time."
Yeah, I mean, that's
the road story doesn't have to be bad, Rig. I mean, it can be something that happened at a show or at a dinner one night, just anything like that.
I mean, probably honestly right now would be getting to drive at my hometown show. You know, I've been a fan of monster trucks since I could remember, and this is all I've ever wanted to do.
It's not a fun road story. Shut up, Dave.
Okay. Thanks, Cam.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, just, traveling with, some independence, trying to get my foot in the door, and then getting to work for Monster Jam for, a bunch of years, and then, Jim giving me the opportunity to drive finally, and I think it was like my second show, and we were back home, and that's all I could think about going to the show, being on the road for so long and getting to drive finally, and after experiencing as much as I had experienced, I think that's probably my funnest road story, even though it's not really a road story. I'll just keep going back to the elk. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. You can kill it. But you can kill it.
Yeah. Well, you beat that. Now you're beating a dead horse. So move on.
Yeah. Okay.
You got anything else, Mason? Any more good ones, or are we?
Oh, let's see.
Got one more
one
for
good one. I think the best one we have is from Kevin Lennon saying, "What is your guys' most embarrassing driving experience?" I'll put this on monster trucks instead, since we already kind of covered on with Trent. Yeah.
Well, I was driving my monster truck and I hit an elk.
Going down the highway in
Yeah.
snowstorm.
Yep.
Most embarrassing moment. Well, I mean, there's been a couple times. It was at my second show. We did it. My very first show was in Canada, Inwood, Ontario. But the second week show I did was back in Ogden. And so we had to go from Ontario, Canada, all the way back to Utah to turn around and go back to Canada in Barrie. Routing back then, apparently my dad and Jim used the same, atlas. But we're back in Ogden. We're doing just a small fair show. And, I mean, I jumped the van stack. I landed it, brought it into like a cool little slap wheelie. And, like, it came back down, and there was probably 20 feet, 30 feet to the wall. And I just could not find the brake pedal. And I don't know if I just panicked or I don't know what I was doing, but I smacked the wall. Literally could hear my dad screaming over the motor running. And I mean, I bent the railing a little bit, and to me, it was like, well, that was just stupid. Can't believe I did it. But it was my second show. But that's the cool thing about monster trucks is monster trucks will always remind you that you're still human. You can go out there, an experienced guy can go out there. It doesn't matter who you are, and make just a stupid mistake. I had one that kind of bit me pretty hard this year in toughest. I was in Casper, Wyoming, and just doing wheelie competition. Went straight up, lost track of where I was. I thought I was on top of the pod and kept giving it some throttle. Well, I didn't make it all the way up on the pod. And so I landed right at the base of the ramp and literally exploded the ring gear clean off the third. And, I mean, toughest shows are, I mean, they're pretty, I don't want to say strict, but they're pretty well organized that, it's boom, boom, boom. You are going at this, and this time. And so I kind of had time to get it all back together, and I missed the rest of the show, only got 2 points. But thankfully, I believe still in the lead, and hopefully, that tour will come back and we can bring a championship home to Team Throttle Monsters.
Well, the one thing I've got a lot of drivers tell me about arenas too, the hard part of them is with being in a smaller area is whenever you get to a bad position, your first natural reaction is to try and save the truck. You're starting to go over or whatever. And
Right.
So it kind of puts you in a bad spot sometimes because you're trying to save it, but you shouldn't be probably.
Well, and that's the thing. Everything is so confined, plus you're in a helmet and in a truck. You're kind of basing certain things off of like signage or banners that are on the building itself. I mean, I literally rolled our Outlaw in Winnipeg and rolled it right into the retractables. Thankfully enough, Cam McQueen did the exact same thing, but he just shoved his entire truck through the retractables. So they really couldn't tell what I did compared to what he did. So We got a
Thank
paycheck
you.
that week. Yes, he saved me twice.
What about you, Dave? You got any good embarrassing stories? You got out your pants around your ankles or anything?
No, nothing like that. I'm still still in my rookie year, I guess you could say. I'm still learning. Anytime I get in the truck, anytime I move the truck around, I'm still learning. And I guess you could say my most embarrassing thing driving was I went down to Sulphur Springs, Texas, to drive Iron Outlaw last November at a Michael Harper show, and wheelie contest. Went out there for the first hit, went to shift into second gear before I hit the cars and hit neutral. So the truck literally just bumped against the cars. So I'm like, well, that looked dumb.
You're a rock star.
Yeah, I know. So then I backed up. I'm like, all right, time to redeem yourself. I did it again. Went right past second gear into neutral and bumped off the cars again. So
Okay, now you're dumb.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
just
so that's probably my most embarrassing thing driving so far.
Well, this weekend's going to be exciting.
Yes.
You might want to just flop gears, put it in second for him, and leave it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would be probably safer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
You
can
don't
put a
have
turbo
you don't have to
400
worry about
thing,
that.
that way he doesn't have to
shifter
shift.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that confusing shifter next to you. You just hold the steering wheel and go there, little buddy.
Yep. I mean, it's a lot to think about, It's hard enough reaching the
Yeah.
pedals.
Well, I'm surprised his hand could even reach all the way to neutral.
Yeah, it gets real confusing. 1, 2. Yeah, it's just too much.
I know. Yeah, sometimes it's a pain.
The trials and tribulations of a monster truck driver.
That's right.
Or the
Well, guys-
tribulations of being too tall.
Yeah.
Not tall enough.
Yeah, that's right. Story of my life.
Well, guys, I really want to appreciate you guys coming on. Kept you long enough. Let you guys rest up. I know you guys got a big day tomorrow on displays. And but Dave, I appreciate you jumping in here the last second. Wish you guys both the best of luck, and hopefully we will see you guys down the road. Good luck at your show this weekend, and hopefully we'll be one together soon.
I hope so.
Yep.
Man, I appreciate you guys having us come on. I mean, the only thing I do want to say is I can't thank our fans enough, and I can't thank all of our sponsors that support Team Throttle Monsters. It wouldn't be without Redline Oil, Safety Clean, Joe's Clan Cleaners, Norco. There's so many people that have helped us to get where we are. Rockwell Watches is coming on board with us. I mean, us, me and Paul, we wouldn't be in the position we are if it wasn't for these people, it wasn't for these companies that has given us the best job in the world. Hopefully our entire country and the world will come back to normal, and we can go back to doing shows across the country just like we used to 2-3 months ago. But I really appreciate you guys doing this. This kind of keeps everybody's minds off of what's going on. It's always nice to see a friendly face in the industry, and hopefully we will see you guys down the road and have more laughs.
Well, and we don't do this enough with you guys, but if guys want to, is there a place where they can go to check out Vendetta and Kamikaze and just all the Throttle Monster merch or anything like that? A website or?
We're in the works right now, working on a website. We got a couple guys that are that have been trying to figure it out and get it all set up. We're trying to get a merch store online. They can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. We do have people that monitor that. I myself am one of those guys that monitor it. I know there's been a couple guys that have wrote on Facebook for merch, but we've kind of just been busy trying to get these first couple of shows up and going. But Team Throttle Monsters on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Apparently, I think we have a Twitter, but I think that's something Paul or Kyle or someone else handles. I couldn't tell you. But you can always reach us out on social media. We also got all of our sponsors that you can search out to. Redline Oil is one of our biggest ones. Brodix Heads is also another one. Jezel. I know I'm missing a lot because I'm having a brain fart about it right now. But there's so many people that have put us where we are. Even their social media will have our stuff on it. So I mean, find a picture of this year. All of our sponsors have been updated on our trucks, on our social media. Every post that our social media does has our sponsors tagged in every single thing that we do. So check them out. Check us out. You will find us hopefully coming back soon. We got 3 weeks. Hopefully the third week will happen. Still waiting on a phone call, but we got 3 weeks right now in a row that we're doing shows. So we're going to be busy for a couple weeks at least.
All right, guys. Well, good luck to you, and I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Mason. Well, that was fun. That was a good time tonight, but I believe you had something else you wanted to talk about a little bit tonight before we shut this down.
Of course, before we go ahead and go on to our sponsors, again, we'd like to thank Spur Hot Sauce with their amazing hot sauce. The West and the East meeting together, and just, this is the part where I usually mess up the line. So, yeah, and that was a hiccup on my end right there. Let me try to redeem it here, though, with Monster Truckinator TV, and they are bringing us the best of the past and the newest videos for Monster Trucks. And go ahead and like them both on their Facebook and their Instagram pages. It wasn't the best time saying all that just now. Kind of hicked up like twice saying their ad read. Like to apologize, see if I can maybe redeem it here with something that actually was cool that came up just today. A few buddies of mine, they're letting me know that there's actually a track on the Rigs Rods game. I know we've brought it up at least once or twice on the podcast here before. There's a cool screenshot that I actually got from the website that's actually on a public track now, and actually they tagged us in it, and we have our own little sponsor on one of their tracks. I'd like to thank Chris Bialik, who actually made that track. He's been watching our episodes in and out. I'd like to thank him a bunch. And one of these actual groups that I've been talking to lately, the Monsterama group, I'd like to thank them a bunch. They've actually trying to reach out and start up something with us here coming the next few days. So excited to see what they have going on come Monday. They actually have a live event that they're going to be doing on a server, and can't wait to see what's going to come up from it. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think I'm going to be in quite a few of those shows just for the hell of it. So it's going to be cool what they're going to bring to the table. And, yeah, hope to see more from them soon.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. Like I said, tonight was a good time. Join us this Sunday night dinner table. We will have driver of the Gas Monkey Garage, BJ Johnson, and his wife, Lindsay Johnson, who, for those who don't know, she's been a pit party coordinator for Feld, but she actually was BJ's crew chief for a couple of years, and she also crew chief for Scott Buteau and Ironman and several others. So she ought to have some good stories and be a good time. So join us Sunday night. Once again, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Later.
Young man, hard man, shouting in the street, gonna take on the world someday. You got blood on your face, your big